Taskmaster is funny because it makes authoritarianism feel like a game you are clever for enjoying. That sounds harsher than the show feels, which is exactly the point. The format is not subtle about power. Greg Davies is officially framed by Channel 4 as the all-powerful Taskmaster, helped by his loyal assistant Alex Horn, testing comedians through strange and surreal challenges. Davies himself jokes about the comedian meat grinder and about owning Horn, which is not an accidental bit of language. It is the show describing its own machinery with a grin. The trick is that Taskmaster gives Britain a fantasy of domination without the ugliness of conviction. Nobody is shouting about destiny. Nobody is standing on a balcony. Nobody is claiming history has chosen them. Instead, there is a big man in a chair, a smaller man with a clipboard, wax-sealed instructions, arbitrary judgments, public rankings, humiliation, obedience, punishments disguised as scoring, and adults made to perform absurd little rituals for approval. The structure is authoritarian. The texture is cozy. That is Britain all over. Other cultures tend to make authority grand. Britain makes it domestic. It gives authority a mug, a cardigan, a schoolmaster's impatience, a sideways smile. It lets the ruler pretend he is not really ruling, and lets the ruled pretend they are not really submitting. Everyone knows the situation is degrading, but everyone also knows the degradation has been rendered safe by tone. The wink is the license. This is why Greg Davies is so perfect in the chair. He has dad authority, but not the modern therapeutic kind. He is not there to process anyone's feelings. He is there to be amused, disappointed, unfair, indulgent, impatient, and occasionally touched despite himself. He can behave like a petty monarch because the show surrounds him with enough silliness to launder the power. The audience does not see submission. It sees play. And yet the pleasure is submission. The contestants read the task. They obey the task. They misread the task. They are judged by standards that may or may not exist until Greg decides they exist. Their cleverness matters, but only inside a world where the ruler can change the emotional weather from the throne. That is the secret thrill. The show does not merely ask, what funny thing will this comedian do? It asks, how will this comedian behave under a ridiculous little regime? This is also why the show feels wholesome to people. Fans talk about it as a comfort show, a bonding show, even a place of genuine warmth. Reddit threads are full of viewers recalling hugs, friendships, encouragement, and moments where the cruelty softens into affection. That is not a contradiction. It is the mechanism working. The show has to be warm, because warmth is what makes the authoritarian shape bearable. The cruelty is not removed. It is domesticated. This is where the comparison with Mr. Beast helps. Beast Games takes the same basic modern appetite, people doing humiliating or desperate things inside a game system for spectacle, and Americanizes it into scale, money, weeping, moral ugliness, and warehouse-sized melodrama. The Guardian called it an undignified spectacle, built around a huge cash prize, mass contestants, pleading, crying, and self-sacrifice. Entertainment Weekly reported that contestants sued over alleged unsafe and degrading conditions, unpaid wages, harassment, lack of adequate food, hygiene, privacy, and medical access. That is the vulgar version, authoritarian entertainment with the mask slipping. Taskmaster is the British version, authoritarian entertainment with the mask turned into a joke. It is not kinder because the structure is different. It is kinder because the stakes are fake, the victims are comedians, and the humiliation is cushioned by status. Nobody's life changes if they lose. Nobody has to pretend a cash prize will save their family. The contestants are not desperate people being fed into a spectacle. They are funny people volunteering to be made temporarily ridiculous. That distinction matters, but it does not dissolve the thesis. It sharpens it. Taskmaster is acceptable because it knows exactly how much authoritarianism Britain likes, enough to enjoy the ritual, not enough to feel accused by it. Enough command, enough unfairness, enough hierarchy, enough ritualized embarrassment, but always with deniability. We are not watching domination. We are watching comedy. We are not enjoying obedience. We are enjoying cleverness. We are not submitting to the big man in the chair. We are appreciating the format. Fine. But the format is the thing. The show's genius is that it makes power feel emotionally safe. Greg can be cruel because he is also avuncular. Alex can be degraded because he is also the creator. Contestants can be humiliated because they are in on it. The audience can enjoy judgment because the judgment is silly. Every danger is neutralized by context, and every neutralization lets the danger remain visible. That is why Taskmaster works so well. It is not secretly fascist in the boring literal sense. It is a fantasy space where authoritarian feelings are made harmless enough to touch. The arbitrary command. The public ranking. The beloved ruler. The loyal functionary. The ritual task. The cheerful abasement. The relief of having rules, even stupid rules, and someone else deciding what they mean. Britain does not need grandeur for this. It never has. It prefers a cheeky wink, a wry pretense, a man in a nice suit saying something monstrous in a tone that means nobody has to call it monstrous. For the runtime of the show, the audience gets to believe that hierarchy is funny, obedience is charming, humiliation is character building, and unfairness is just personality. Then the credits roll, and everyone gets to say they were only having a laugh.